Hello friends, welcome to Manu Law Classes. मेरा नाम गौतम दीक्षित है. Now today in this video we are going to discuss important news from the Hindu edition of 14th March 2023. So let's start with the very important news about the Oscars. So see, there have been two Oscars for India, one in Best Original Song and one in the Best Documentary Short. So Natu Natu and the Elephant Whisperers, they have won the Oscars. So if you will see Natu Natu, which is a song from the film RRR, इसने पहले भी गोल्डन ग्लोब अवार्ड्स में बेस्ट ओरिजिनल सॉन्ग में अवार्ड लिया था and now it has also won the Oscar. And then the documentary short, the Elephant Whisperer, okay, it has won the best documentary short category. Fine. So if you will just see that this is for the first time that two Indian made productions have bagged the cinema world's biggest prize, that is we are talking about the Oscars or the Academy Award. Fine. So यहाँ पे we will see the details about Natu Natu and Elephant Whisperers, which can be important from our exam point of view. So see, Natu Natu जो है, it has been composed by M.M. Keeravani and it has been penned or wrote by Chandra Bose in S.S. Rajamouli's, that is, he is the director of the movie RRR. Then it is the fourth non-English song to win an Oscar in this category and the first song in the foreign language since Jai Ho in 2009 to bag this prize. The next is the Elephant Whisperer, which has been by Kartiki Gonsalves and Gonit Bonga, which explores the bond between humans and abundant elephant in Tamil Nadu's Mudumalai Tiger Reserve. It has won in the documentary short category. So we will also see Oscars at the international page and also at the editorial page more about it. So before going there, let's take a few more news from the front page. So here see, CGI refers petitions on same-sex marriage to Constitution bench. So as we know, हमने कल भी ये न्यूज़ किया था where the government has given its views on the same-sex marriage to the Supreme Court through an affidavit where it has said that marriage is an institution and though homosexuality has been decriminalized under the Navtesh Singh Johar versus Union of India case, but over here the government has said that that it is the parliament which will decide upon the same-sex marriage or on the marriage and not the Supreme Court. So after all those things, now the Chief Justice of India, he has referred this petition to the Constitution bench. The next is retail inflation stays above 6%. So once again, the consumer price inflation, which is released by National Statistics Office, that is NSO, it has again crossed 6% mark to 6.44%, virtually unchanged from 6.52% in January. So January में it was 6.52%, but again in February it is 6.44%. Now again let's do the Oscars first. So here true colors, the Oscars served as a marker of America's nod to inclusivity. So at the 95th Academy Awards, अब यहाँ पे मैं कुछ आप लोगों को factual information भी बताऊंगा जो आपके एग्जाम के लिए काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. So it is 95th Academy Awards which was held at Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles. Okay, so यहाँ पर अगर आप देखेंगे तो Indian wins which we have already discussed, the Elephant Whisperer became the first ever Indian production to win the Oscar for Best Documentary Short. यहाँ पे आप कैटेगरीज जो है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है, वो याद रखिएगा. Then RRR has won in the Best Original Song. Okay, the music composer भी यहाँ पे ध्यान रखना, music composer M.M. Keeravani and lyricist Chandra Bose. Then there was one more nomination at Oscar, that is All That Breathes in the Best Documentary Feature, but in this category the final winner was Daniel Rohrs Navalny. So All That Breathes, it lost to Daniel Rohrs Navalny. Now if you will see that the last Indian win at Oscar was in 2009, that was the British production movie Slumdog Millionaire. There the best original song and score for music composer A.R. Rahman and lyricist Gulzar was awarded for the song Jai Ho. Then Rasul Pokutti was awarded for best sound mixing. Okay. Now coming to a chance for India to shape a data governance regime. So here we are talking about two things. Actually, two things will be important in this discussion. One is DAPA. Now what is DAPA? DAPA is Data Empowerment and Protection Architecture. And one which we will be discussing is Indian Data Management Office, that is IDMO. ठीक है, so this is DAPA which relates about the management of data. Okay, that is empowerment, how the people will use the data, what role they will have in protection of data, everything. Then IDMO, that is related with data sovereignty, Okay, so let's have a brief look about DEPA. So see, the full form of DEPA is Data Empowerment and Protection Architecture. It is a consent management tool. Okay, so here DEPA, it has the potential to improve data protection and privacy for citizens by giving them greater control over the use and sharing of their personal information. So whenever we are using the any online platform, so we generate data. So DEPA provides more control over data by the users. Fine, but there are certain concerns also, that there are also risks which is associated with DEPA, that is in terms of security and privacy. So here the author says कि अगर इसका जो consent management tool है, अगर वो properly implement या manage नहीं किया गया, then there is a risk that personal information will be misused or misappropriated. Then there are other concerns also, that is the implementation of data may be inconsistent across different sectors and jurisdictions, which could undermine its effectiveness and create confusion among the citizens. Okay, so in order to minimize this, the authors they say that tool is implemented, it should be implemented in a transparent, consistent and secure manner, which requires the collaboration between the government, private sector, civil society and other stakeholders, and clear and effective regulations and standards. The next which we are going to talk about is that in the terms of data structure. So see, the use of digital technologies, currently that suppose UPI is successful, unified payment interface, it is successful in financial sector, so this can be replicated in health and agriculture sector. Okay, which can lead to enhanced access to healthcare services, and also it can empower farmers and enhance their incomes in agriculture. Fine, but see what are the different types of risks associated with that. So let's see over here. Suppose in the health sector, there is a risk that sensitive medical information could be misused or exploited for a commercial purposes. अब एग्रीकल्चर में क्या मिसयूज हो सकता है? There is a risk that market information could be manipulated for the benefit of certain actors. Fine. So these are also some of the risks associated with the data in India. Now let's see the another thing, that is data sovereignty. Data sovereignty का मतलब that a country has the right to control the collection, storage and use of data within this border, and also to the informational self determination of citizens over their data. ठीक है ना, कि मतलब कंट्री को राइट है कि कैसे जो डेटा उस कंट्री में जो जनरेट हो रहा है उसको कैसे कलेक्ट किया जाए, स्टोर किया जाए और कैसे उसको यूज़ किया जाए विद इन इट्स बॉर्डर, और सिटीजन्स को ये राइट होना चाहिए अबाउट डिटरमाइनिंग द यूज ऑफ देयर डेटा. सो दैट इज बीइंग implemented through India Data Management Office. So you see what the IDMO function is. So the IDMO is expected to oversee and coordinate the implementation of India's digital strategies and data governance framework, and to ensure that these efforts are aligned with the country's values and priorities. It will also work to promote the development and implementation of open source solutions. ठीक है, open source मतलब that anybody can have the access to that solutions provided by use of data. Okay, to secure social public good and to promote digital technology which is accessible and affordable to all. Then there are two important models which can be adopted, that is open source and open innovation models, which can be important alternatives to proprietary solutions that are governed by big tech companies. ठीक है, जैसे कि ओपन सोर्स होना, कि किसी को कोई ऐप डेवलप करना है तो ऐप डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए एक ओपन प्लेटफॉर्म हो, डेटा को चाहिए, ठीक है, विच आर नॉट टू मच प्राइवेट इन नेचर, उसको स्टडी करना है, सो दिस शुड बी ओपन टू ऑल, नॉट टू बी कंट्रोल्ड ओनली बाय द बिग टेक कंपनीज. द थर्ड इज दैट फाइंडिंग अ मिडल वे. सो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखेंगे कि एक तरफ हमें जो है डेटा गवर्नेंस को प्रमोट करना है फॉर सोशल गुड. The second is that we also have to protect the privacy of the citizens. Okay, so it requires development of clear, transparent and accountable data governance policies and regulations, and investment in the necessary digital infrastructure and skills to ensure that data is collected, stored and used in a responsible, secure and accountable manner, so that a resilient data governance regime can be accomplished. Now here we are talking about India Stack. Okay, so India Stack क्या है? India Stack, it is a unified software platform that provides digital public goods application interface and facilitates digital inclusion. Okay, that is called as India Stack. मतलब एक ऐसा पोर्टल है जहाँ पे सारे डेटा related to health, agriculture which can be stored at a same platform. Now coming to a very important topic which is going on in news for few days, that is understanding the Saudi-Iran detention. यहाँ पे जो न्यूज़ हमने अभी तक पढ़ा है, दैट न्यूज़ इज रिलेटेड विद द रोल ऑफ चाइना, ठीक है, रोल ऑफ चाइना इन रिकन्सिलिएशन ऑफ सऊदी अरेबिया एंड ईरान, ठीक है। सो इनका जो डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन था वो 2016 से ही बंद था, बिकॉज इफ यू विल सी दैट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दैट दे आर आर्क राइवल्स, ठीक है। जैसे कि आप सऊदी अरेबिया देखोगे, दे आर सुन्नी countries, Iran it is Shia countries. Second, their rivalry it plays out in a larger Middle East geopolitics. For example, let's take the example of Yemen. तो येमेन में जो है सिविल वॉर चल रहा है, ठीक है। तो एक साइड पे जो है वो है आपका हाउथी रेबल्स, ओके, यू हैव हाउथी रेबल्स, और दूसरे साइड पे जो है वो है आपका गवर्नमेंट फोर्सेस, गवर्नमेंट फोर्सेस। तो हाउथी रेबल्स जो है it is backed by Iran, and if you will see the government forces they are backed by Saudi Arabia, ठीक है। और फिर 2016 से इनका जो डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशनशिप था वो तो बंद ही था, ठीक है। तो इसको रिकंसाइल किया है चाइना ने, फाइन। अब अगर आप देखेंगे कि चाइना अभी क्यों आया, ठीक है, और इसमें सऊदी अरेबिया को क्या फ़ायदा है और ईरान को क्या फ़ायदा है, ठीक है। तो सी नॉर्मली अगर आप मिडल ईस्ट को देखेंगे तो मिडल ईस्ट में हमेशा से यूएस का इन्फ्लुएंस रहा है, ठीक है, यूएस का इन्फ्लुएंस रहा है। बट अगर आप यूएस का अगर आप देखेंगे तो जिसकी जो जियो पॉलिटिक्स है वो शिफ्ट हो रहा है, मीन्स इट हैज़ डीप्रायराइज्ड दी वेस्ट एशियन कंट्री। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो ये समझने की ज़रूरत है कि जो वेस्ट एशिया को यूएस ने डीप्रायोरिटाइज कर दिया, but still before leaving the region it wants that major Arab countries, major Gulf countries to have a good relationship with Israel. So in that regard there is one accord which is very important, that is called as Abraham Accord, okay, that is called as Abraham Accord. So this Abraham Accord 2020 में साइन हुआ था, which normalized the relationship between two countries, UAE and Israel, ठीक। Now if you will see that US wanted the same thing to happen between Saudi Arabia and Israel also, and US wanted to create a, you can say an alliance against Iran in Middle East before deprioritizing that event. But over here if you will see that Saudi Arabia का जो रिलेशन है USA के साथ वो खुद बहुत ज़्यादा स्लाइड हो रहा है, ठीक है। जैसे कि रिसेंटली जब सऊदी अरेबिया को कहा गया कि टू टेक द पार्ट इन सैंक्शंस अगेंस्ट रशिया during the Russia-Ukraine crisis, so Saudi Arabia ignored that. Fine. Second is that Saudi Arabia does not want to normalize its relationship with Israel because of Israel's policy in West Bank. Okay, so these are some of the reasons that why Saudi Arabia has not joined the wagon of normalizing the relationship with Israel. Fine. Now coming to Iran. So now why Iran has accepted the deal? So first of all, if you will see that Iran has recently become the member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. पहला चीज तो ये है, ठीक है। It means Iran is now looking east. Iran is now looking east. Fine. Second thing is that ईरान का जो यूएस के साथ जो प्रॉब्लम है which started in 1979, so Iran versus USA. So this problem which started in 1979. Now this has, if you will see that Iran wanted the early finalization of Iran nuclear deal, okay, which has not happened, fine, which has not happened. Along with that Iran is also facing sanctions, okay। तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे कि जो इकोनॉमिक हार्डशिप है इस कंट्री की, इकोनॉमिक हार्डशिप, okay, so that economic hardship is very enormous, economic hardship is very enormous, ठीक है। तो ये भी बहुत ज़्यादा है ईरान में। So now Iran is also wants that its economic hardship is removed or somewhat lessened by normalizing its relationship with other Gulf countries, okay। Now if you will see that चाइना को इससे क्या मिलेगा, ठीक है। तो अगर आप देखोगे कि तो चाइना, it is one of the largest consumer of crude oil in the world, fine, so it wants warm ties with both Saudi and Iran, okay, for trade and economic purpose, okay। उसके साथ अगर आप देखेंगे that China is now also sending a clear message to countries in the global south, that it is going to lead the developing countries in the world from where the US is withdrawing. Okay, now coming to superconductors. This is the this is from Science and Tech. Superconductors, Science and Tech. Now see, what is superconductors? This is very important. Superconductors. तो देखिए, whenever the electricity is generated or whenever electricity is passed through any body, okay, so every body has some electrical resistance. Okay, so suppose that we have generated electricity and we want to send this electricity through wires. So much of the electricity which is generated is lost because these wires, they also have the electrical resistance. Fine, but if we can replace these wires, okay, with such a body which does not offer resistance to flowing current, then such body is called as superconductor. Now normally it is not easy to create superconductor at normal room temperature. Okay, for example, let's take the example of aluminium. So aluminium, it behaves as a superconductor at minus 250 degrees Celsius. Then there is one more compound called as lanthanum hydride, okay, which behaves as a superconductor at minus 20 degrees Celsius, which is hardly a room temperature. Now researchers in University of Rochester, you can see the pic, assistant professor Rangana Dias. Now what he has done is that he has created the superconductivity in certain material at room temperature, but the study is under question now. Fine, so what they have done, they have pushed some nitrogen into the crystal of lutetium hydride by developing a high pressure synthesis process. Okay, so this has brought the superconductivity in lutetium hydride at room temperature. Now coming to SIPRI report, India remains world's largest importer of arms according to SIPRI report. So see, India remained the world's largest arms importer for the 5-year period between 2018 and 2022, even though its arm imports dropped by 11% between 2013-17 and 2018-22. So India, this is very important first point about the SIPRI report. Okay, so India remained the world's largest arms importer for the 5-year period. ओके, बट इसका जो आर्म इम्पोर्ट है वो ड्रॉप भी हुआ है बाय 11%. फाइन, नाउ सी सिप्री, व्हाट इज द फुल फॉर्म ऑफ सिप्री? स्टॉकहोम इंटरनेशनल पीस रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट, ओके, बेस्ड इन स्टॉकहोम इन स्वीडन. Then if you will see that Russia, it was the largest supplier of arms to India from 2013 to 2022, but its share of total imports has fallen from 64% to 45%. Then the second largest supplier is France. अगर हम मार्केट की बात करें तो सी, इंडिया इज द बिगेस्ट आर्म्स एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट टू 3 कंट्रीज. मतलब 3 कंट्रीज ऐसे हैं जिनका जो डिफेंस एक्सपोर्ट है वो सबसे ज़्यादा इंडिया को जाता है. दिस 3 कंट्रीज आर रशिया, फ्रांस एंड इजराइल. उसके बाद इंडिया इज द सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट मार्केट फॉर साउथ कोरिया एंड थर्ड लार्जेस्ट मार्केट फॉर साउथ अफ्रीका. देन फॉर द सेम पीरियड इंडिया रिमेन द लार्जेस्ट आर्म्स इम्पोर्टर फॉलोड बाय सऊदी अरेबिया. तो पूरे वर्ल्ड में ओवरऑल लार्जेस्ट आर्म इम्पोर्टर तो इंडिया है, सेकेंड नंबर पे सऊदी अरेबिया है. उसके बाद अगर हम रशिया की बात करें तो रशिया अकाउंटेड फॉर 45% ऑफ इंडियाज इम्पोर्ट, फ्रांस 29%, यूएस 11%. देन सी, इंडिया एक्सपोर्ट भी करता है. सो इंडिया वाज द थर्ड लार्जेस्ट आर्म सप्लायर टू म्यांमार आफ्टर रशिया एंड चाइना, अकाउंटिंग फॉर 14% ऑफ इट्स इम्पोर्ट. अब इंडिया का शेयर देखो टोटल इम्पोर्ट में कितना है. आर्म्स इम्पोर्ट में इट इज 11% ऑफ द टोटल ग्लोबल आर्म्स इम्पोर्ट. India was the world's biggest importer of major arms in 2018 to 2022. अब now talking to Russia. Russia का जो 66% of arms import है वो 3 countries को जाता है, India, China and Egypt. Now coming to RTI amendment in data protection bill. तो RTI में एक section है that is called as section 81J about the public disclosure, पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट डिस्क्लोजर. तो देखिए इसमें क्या है, दैट सेक्शन 81J ऑफ द एक्ट अलाउज ऑफिशियल्स टू रिफ्यूज एक्सेस टू इंफॉर्मेशन इफ इट इंट्रूड्स ऑन द प्राइवेसी ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल बट परमिट्स डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन इफ देयर इज एन पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट. बट एक जो बिल जो इंट्रोड्यूस होने वाला है जिसके बारे में हमने पहले भी पढ़ा है, डिजिटल पर्सनल डेटा प्रोटेक्शन बिल 2022. ओके, सो गवर्नमेंट में इंट्रोड्यूस दिस बिल इन बजट सेशन एंड इट कैन रिमूव द प्रोविजंस फ्रॉम सेक्शन 81J that allow public interest disclosure. Now coming to world. So यहाँ पे देखिए cyclone Freddy. So cyclone Freddy, it was a cyclone in Indian Ocean and it has landed in Africa now, in Mozambique, Malawi. So cyclone Freddy, packing powerful winds and torrential rain killed at least 70 in Malawi and Mozambique on its return to southern Africa. The next is Nepali Congress leader Ramchandra Paudel sworn in as Nepal's third president. So see, senior Nepali Congress leader Ramchandra Paudel, okay, he was sworn in as Nepal's third president. Now coming to Oscars. So see, Everything Everywhere All at Once conquers Oscar with 7 wins. यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे तो surreal sci-fi film Everything Everywhere All at Once dominated the Oscar on Sunday, winning 7 awards including Best Picture. ठीक है. The next is All Quiet on the Western Front. Okay, it has finished second with 4 awards. Then Navalny, okay, which is about the imprisoned Russian descendant Alexei Navalny, won for Best Documentary. Then if you will see that Michelle Yeoh, okay, has become, who is from Malaysia, has become the first ever Asian woman to win the Best Actress award. The next, Japan's Kenzaburo O, awarded Nobel for literature, dies. So Nobel Literature Laureate Kenzaburo O, okay, whose darkly poetic novels were built from his childhood memories during Japan's post-war occupation and from being the parent of a disabled son, has died. He was 88. So यहाँ का आप देखेंगे A Personal Matter, published 1 year after the birth of his mentally disabled son in 1963, is a story of a father coming to terms through darkness and pain with the birth of brain-damaged son. Now, last one is about the inflation. So February retail inflation remains virtually unchanged at 6.44%. If you will see over here, the food inflation again has led to the inflation remaining above the 6%. So food inflation remains sticky, with consumer food price index rising 5.95% in February, just a tad lower than 6%. Then vegetables, they remain in deflationary territory for third successive month, and prices falling by 11.6%. Then if you will see cereals inflation, it surged from 16.1% to 16.73%. Then inflation in fruits more than doubled from 2.9% to 6.4%. So friends, that's all for today. We will meet tomorrow again with a daily Hindu analysis. Till then, have a nice time. Take care. Thank you.